to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is my co-host, Armando.
Hi guys, I'm Armando, and welcome to Wrestling with Siblings.
What a Raw. I think this was probably, again, another killer Raw that we've had in this year. There was a couple things, that could have changed, but I liked it. And overall, my rating of the show would be an 8.
7.5, close to 8 up there. I think could improve a couple things, but other than that, let's get started on what actually happened on Monday Night Raw tonight.
Yes, as Armando said, let's get started. Samoa Joe comes out very upset. And I don't blame him. Why? Because he got blamed for what happened to Roman Reigns. Obviously, those of you that do not know, last week on SmackDown, he was about to get interviewed by Kayla, and a whole bunch of speakers and a whole bunch of equipment fell on top of him, and nobody knew what happened or how it happened. And people were so close to assume it was Samoa Joe, and that's why he was mad.
And they're assuming, like you said, it was Samoa Joe because of the feud they've been having lately. They've been having pretty much brawls. They've been going at it all over the arena. They've been pretty much calling each other out. They're clash of egos.
And he takes his shots at Michael Cole. He's like, you know what, Michael? You were the one that said that I was the one that attacked Roman Reigns. And he's like, play the footage. So they play the footage. And he's like, was I seen anywhere near there? Was I there? Do you see me there? And, he's right. He makes a very, very important point because he wasn't seen at all. And I understand why he's mad. And he said he demands an apology, not only from the WWE Universe, from Michael Cole and Roman Reigns.
But let's be real, the first person that comes into mind is Samoa Joe, because of what I mentioned, of the feud they've been having.
Yeah, so I don't blame him. I understand why he's mad, but I also see Michael Cole and the WWE Universe's perspective as to why Samoa Joe would do it. We've seen Samoa Joe go to the extreme to get what he wants, and I wasn't surprised, but I get it. I understand why he's mad. Okay. But moving on from Samoa Joe, let's move on to the very first match of the night, which was killer, by the way. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair versus Natty and Trish Stratus.
Very interesting partnership between Natty and Trish. I was excited to see how that was going to work out. Obviously, two legends. You could call Natty pretty much a legend already.
But also, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Already going into this match, who do you think has a disadvantage? Because I can already tell you, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are at the disadvantage simply because of their egos, and they were best friends turned enemies. So to me, they're the ones at the disadvantage.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, and we did see that throughout the match, that they were pretty much forcing each other into the match, tagging themselves when they weren't supposed to tag, pretty much.
Yes, and that obviously played a very huge role because towards the end of the match, what does Charlotte do? Charlotte just leaves, and she leaves Becky there, and that ended up costing them the match. Well, they won by DQ, but even then, that's not the way the Raw Women's Champion should be winning her matches, per se.
No, and then, obviously, Natty trying to make a statement to Becky Lynch and be like, look, if you got the disarmor, I have the sharpshooter. And she did not release the sharpshooter, and therefore she got disqualified, like you said. But making a really, really strong statement and be like, hey, let's see you get out of the sharpshooter.
Now, Becky Lynch going into this match, how does she prepare for somebody like Natalya? Because, as you said, Natty did not release the hold. We saw a more aggressive, a more passionate Natty this time around and in this match.
Yeah, she's fully focused, and she knows what she wants, and it's not going to be an easy opponent for Becky Lynch. I got to say, this is probably the toughest opponent Becky Lynch is going to have to face defending her Raw Women's Championship.
At least on the Raw roster right now.
Yeah.
And this is brilliant, smart strategy by Trish and Natty. They kept Trish out of this match the entire match. Trish did not step foot in that ring, and she did not touch Charlotte Flair once. And that is smart because that is protecting your match at SummerSlam. The moment they touch each other, that's it. Because you're going to be like, okay, this is what I can expect. But going into this match, I don't know what to expect. I know the match is going to be great, but I don't know who's going to bring what. And that's what I liked about this match in particular.
Definitely protecting the main event. And another thing, too, Trish Stratus comes in and tells Natty, hey, you got to let go of the hold. And what does Natty do? She turns around and pushes her. So this is a pretty aggressive Natty, a sight that we haven't seen of Natty yet, but I really like it.
I do too, and I think this is very, very beneficial for her going into her match at SummerSlam. But now, speaking of SummerSlam, who do you think walks out Raw Women's Champion, Natalya or Becky Lynch? This is a tough one based on tonight's actions.
I like. And also forgot to mention that it's going to be submissions match. So Natty does have the advantage on that one. I'm going to have to go with Becky Lynch. I think the man is going to outsmart Natty, and she is going to get Natty frustrated.
I think you're right. I do feel Becky Lynch will be the one that will walk out of Toronto, the Raw Women's Champion. But I don't know. I think this Natty that we saw was very, very convincing. I think she was really trying to make a statement and really trying to make a point. But we do know Natty's weakness. The moment she starts to get in her own head, that's the moment she loses focus. And I think that's what she's trying to do, and that's what is going to end up happening in this match.
Yes, definitely.
And since we're already on it, Charlotte versus Trish Stratus. Who do you have?
I'm going to have to go with Trish on this one. Even though it's a tough one, I'm going to stick with Trish.
I'm going to stick with Trish as well. If you do want to hear us talk more about Trish and Charlotte Flair, head over to our Patreon. I will leave the link below. Okay, moving on to the second match of the night, which was probably my favorite match of the entire night. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, with obviously, keep in mind, he has Zelina Vega by his side.
Like you said, this is one of my favorite matches as well, and I never get tired of seeing these guys wrestle because they always bring something new, and it's always exciting to watch. And keep in mind, up until this point, Rey Mysterio hasn't been able to pull a win over Andrade, which is very, very impressive for Andrade.
Yes. And going into this match, we had a completely reinvented Rey Mysterio. He was upset. He was mad. He was out to destroy Andrade and to prove to him, you know what, you are not the future. I'm still here and you're going to have to go through me. And the reason why he was very upset was because last week, Andrade went as far as tearing his mask off, and that's something that obviously Mysterio took at heart.
Yeah, because when it comes down to Lucha Libre and the tradition of wearing a mask, ripping someone's mask off is a total sign of disrespect. And yeah, I get it why Rey Mysterio was upset, and that's why I feel he was more focused today. And we saw a different Rey Mysterio. He wanted to win against Andrade, but what ended up happening? Andrade ended up winning the match.
Yes, he ended up winning the match with the help of Zelina Vega. I think this duo is perfect. They think alike, and they are always on the same page, and they're always one step ahead. Whatever Zelina has planned, Andrade already knows. Whatever Andrade has planned, Zelina already knows about it. They communicate on a level that is super hard to understand.
They function like a clock. They know what they're gonna do with each other. Like for example, Andrade respects the ref. Zelina immediately knows that she's got to go, get involved, and do a hurricanrana.
Or anything else. Whether it's slapping him, punching him, pushing him off the ropes, it doesn't matter. She knows the moment Andrade distracts the ref, that is her cue for her to attack. And that is always what plays a huge advantage for Andrade.
Yeah, definitely. She is the game changer with Andrade, but Andrade, very impressive. In this match, he was pretty much waiting for Rey Mysterio to make a mistake and capitalize, and sure enough, Andrade capitalized.
I think Rey Mysterio, I don't want to say underestimated Andrade because he knew what to expect going into this match, but I think he didn't realize how crucial Zelina is, and I think he took that for granted when he was like, you know what, this is a match that's going to be focused on the two of us because this has nothing to do with Zelina, that he didn't keep her in mind, and that's what cost him the match.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He completely forgot that Zelina was ringside, and I think that was a huge difference. Zelina helping Andrade, but like I said, Andrade was very impressive, and his power obviously made the difference against Rey Mysterio.
And speed-wise, they're pretty much even. The power, as you said, is what pretty much sets these two competitors apart. And again, Andrade superior over Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, as he said in the beginning before we got into this match, has not been able to beat Andrade. How is this going to play out for Mysterio? I mean, obviously, his state of mind isn't in the right place. He pretty much already passed the torch to Andrade. But as Mysterio, what do you think his mindset is at?
I think Andrade is already in Mysterio's head, and it's like Mysterio's gonna try even harder to defeat him, and I think that's gonna be his mistake, not focusing on the match and just wanting to win and do whatever it takes, and that might end up costing him.
In the long run, I believe. Okay, let's move on to Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. We'll make this one very short simply because, Paul Heyman is one of those guys that can go on for days, and it's very interesting to hear what he has to say, but we will keep it short for you guys. He pretty much comes out and shows the footage, and he tells everybody what's going to happen to Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. And it's very crucial because last week on Raw, we got to see the dominance of Brock Lesnar. He completely destroyed and took out Seth Rollins.
That's why he is called the Beast. And Seth Rollins, not a very smart idea. He decides to come out. Me, personally, I would have stayed out in the back. There would have been no shame because we saw that he was barely, pretty much crawling out to the ring.
Not even backstage. I would have stayed home because last week he left in a stretcher and wasn't not even in a stretcher because Brock Lesnar took him out of the stretcher to continue to beat him up. But I do agree with you. I think he should have stayed either home or backstage, and because he does want to be that hero, because he does want to prove that WWE deserves a better champion than the Universal Champ right now, Brock Lesnar. He comes out, and obviously he's pretty beat up. He can barely walk. He's pretty much crawling to the ring, just like you said, and he gets beat up again.
Yep, and he ends up saying that he is going to go out there and beat Brock Lesnar. I think in this match, two reasons why Brock Lesnar is going to win. One, the advantage because of the beating that he pretty much gave Seth Rollins. I don't think Seth Rollins will be 100%. Number two, it kind of won't make sense for Seth Rollins to win it again, just because how he lost it a month ago and have it win it the next month,
which would have been pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do agree with you on that one. Definitely, there's no way Seth Rollins is going to be 100% going into SummerSlam, and that's the biggest advantage that Brock Lesnar has. But also, you can't underestimate Seth Rollins. You know what he did at WrestleMania, and it was perfectly legal because the ref didn't see it. So, I don't know. I just don't see Seth Rollins winning the championship. I could be wrong, but I have to stick with Brock Lesnar on this one. I think it's brilliant to go that way.
The odds are against Seth Rollins on this one, but like you said, do not underestimate Seth Rollins. He is the architect, and he has something up his sleeve all the time as well.
Yes, he is very, very smart. Okay, moving on to the Viking Raiders versus, I don't know what their names are. We won't call them jobbers because I don't like that term. But they also faced hometown talent. Let's put it that way. The Viking Raiders, again, going out and proving a point. This is the way they're going to get to the tag team titles.
And this team is unstoppable right now. I don't see any team stopping them yet.
I definitely don't. I don't think there's anybody on the Raw roster or in the SmackDown tag team roster that can take these guys out. I don't see it. There's a lot that can compete with them. And physically, potentially there could be some teams, but I don't think there's anybody right now that can physically beat them.
This kind of reminds me, like I said it before, kind of like AOP. They bring them out as this dominant group. Hopefully they stay like that, because I really want to see them as well as tag team champions. I think they will do good.
One of the things that I like about this team, though, is one, they coexist so perfectly. They're both athletics in a way that you would have never imagined because of their size. But also, one thing is they work at their own pace. And they could come in and end the match in less than a minute. But they choose not to do that. Why? Because they want to show the longer we go, the more pain we can cause. And the longer this match goes, the more it is to our advantage. And I think that's brilliant because they're sending a straight message to the tag team division.
Not only that, but I also like the way that WWE is building this tag team as an unstoppable force. And slowly but surely, they're going to get to the top. We just got to be patient with this team.
Yes. Now, hopefully, the Viking Raiders aren't struck by what happened to AOP and an injury happens, and that's pretty much what ended AOP's push. But I have full faith in this team that they'll get to the tag team championships at some point.
So Luke Gallows and Anderson, that's a team you really got to keep your eye on.
Yes, the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Okay, but moving on to Kurt Angle, who's pretty much the special guest referee for Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander. They cannot even have a match because these two guys hate each other and they're both out to prove something. This isn't a clash of egos. This has gotten more personal, but I think Cedric Alexander wants to not only prove himself against McIntyre, but also beat some respect into McIntyre.
Yeah, because McIntyre is pretty much, let's be honest, a bully in the locker room just because he's got Shane McMahon and Elias on his side. You could say the Revival as well, but I think Cedric Alexander got tired of it. He's like, you know what? I'm going to try to beat a lesson into you. I don't think it's a wise decision, but I give him credit.
Yeah, I do give him credit for obviously doing what he did, but you can't underestimate Drew McIntyre. We've said it before. He is a full package. He has everything in him to be Universal Champion, and I think this is great because he's putting over younger talent, and that's part of his journey going up to being the top star. And when it comes to McIntyre, I mean, come on. He is dominant, and I want to see him as a Universal Champion, but I also think Cedric Alexander is putting himself in a situation that you do not want to be in.
Yeah, and then just throwing this out there, let's say Brock Lesnar were to win, who do you see him facing? Maybe McIntyre?
Yeah, for sure. Drew McIntyre, I think, is the guy that's next in line for the Universal Championship. I definitely think he's earned it, not only with Shane, but I also feel like his in-ring work, his in-ring character, his promos, and everything he's done till this point, I think he definitely deserves an opportunity. You?
Definitely have to agree with you on that. I think it's long overdue. It's his time, but we'll get into that much more later when the time comes.
Exactly. Alright, and before we do move on from this, a very unexpected return. Well, this has been happening over the last couple of weeks, but I didn't expect this certain someone to attack Kurt Angle. Armando, let him know who attacked Kurt Angle.
It is the Finn Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, he's out to get everybody. We do know, I believe he has a match against Finn Balor at SummerSlam, but he's not just targeting Finn Balor at this point. He is targeting anybody that gets in his way, and I get it because now he came back and he wants to prove something.
Can we say that Bray Wyatt is the new face of fear?
I guess we can say that, yeah.
For now.
If they play it correctly, yes. And I think this should have been done a really long time ago, a couple of years back. But I think this is a fresh new start since he was gone and is coming now back. Nobody's going to remember that Bray Wyatt. This is a whole new Bray Wyatt that everybody's looking forward to seeing.
And like you said, he has a match against Finn Balor. I see Bray Wyatt winning this match without a doubt.
I also see him winning simply because it's his return match. He's not going to lose his first time coming back to the WWE, but I also don't see Finn Balor beating somebody like Bray Wyatt without the Demon.
Yeah, and I think the Demon, like I said before, is for another even bigger event, maybe like a WrestleMania where he could build up a streak, because so far when Finn Balor has brought the Demon King, he has been undefeated.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the New Day versus Luke Gallows and Anderson. Again, this is a match that didn't happen because AJ Styles decided he wanted to get involved in this match. And then Ricochet comes out to the rescue because obviously he has a problem with AJ Styles, and AJ Styles has a problem with Ricochet. So then this turns into a 6-man tag between the New Day and Ricochet versus the OC, pretty much, which stands for the Original Club.
The Original Club looking a lot stronger than ever, but the New Day has been a solid tag team in the WWE for a long time.
Yeah, they have 6 title reigns as tag team champions, and that's for a reason, because not only have they taken the word brotherhood seriously, but they've also learned and evolved together. And together as a team, that's what solidifies them as one of the best tag teams in the tag team division. But you also have to keep in mind who the OC is and how dangerous they can be. I mean, they have AJ Styles, one of the greatest wrestlers of this entire generation, and 2 of the greatest performers in the tag team division. So this is a pretty big match, evenly matched.
It is evenly matched, especially with Ricochet. Obviously, Ricochet is going to face AJ Styles in SummerSlam, but we'll get that a little bit later.
Yes, but I don't know. There's a lot you can say about these teams. Sorry, but one of the things I do want to say, and Armando and I have talked about this behind the scenes. Do you think the OC could potentially be the new Shield?
I think so. I mean, WWE needs that tag team pretty much to replace them because, as you all know, Dean Ambrose pretty much left, and they need a new friction to be in the WWE.
And this is it. I mean, they're going to be unstoppable, and as long as the OC has AJ Styles, and as long as AJ Styles has the OC, they're pretty much unstoppable. I mean, together as a team, there's no way anybody can take them down, and that's definitely not going to be the New Day.
And obviously the experience of the OC played a huge factor in this match. They ended up sealing the win over the New Day, even though New Day has pretty much the same experience, but the OC has been all around the world, and I think that's what has made the difference.
Yes. And you also have to keep in mind, the New Day, yes, they have Big E, yes, they have Xavier Woods, who, by the way, was the show stealer of this match. I think he was a breakout star, but they don't have Kofi Kingston. They had to team with someone like Ricochet. Now, don't get me wrong. Not that plays a huge difference, but it does. Because at the same time, they're used to somebody like Kofi. They're used to having Kofi at their corner. They know how Kofi works. They have to sit there and adapt to Ricochet, and they have to be able to compromise with him.
And that's what has made the New Day such a successful tag team. That they were able to build that chemistry with Ricochet in such a short period of time.
But again, the experience played a huge role in this match, and therefore the OC takes home the victory.
Not only that, but the quickness, the way that OC executes their strategies, it's just super unexpected, and they're able to steal the wins.
Yeah, they're definitely able to adapt to no matter which competitor they have. They adapt, and that's one of the greatest things that this team has. Now, if they are the new Shield, I don't know. I don't see anybody right now taking their spot, but eventually there will be, and there's going to be a new faction created, and the OC is going to have to go up against them. Now, the question is who? Who is going to be the team that dethrones the OC? Because right now, they hold all the gold pretty much.
I don't see any tag team right now in the WWE that could pretty much take all the gold or dethrone the OC. If you guys have someone in mind, let us know below.
Yes, let us know in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not, you can tweet us, Instagram us, anything you'd like. Okay, moving on to Samoa Joe, who then comes out again to call out Roman Reigns because he heard that Roman was on his way to the building, and as we did say earlier, he was highly upset when the show started. He wants an apology, and he is gonna he demands an apology. He doesn't even want it. He demands it, and he is gonna literally sit there and take over the show until he gets it.
Yeah, and what does he do? He finds out that Roman Reigns is on his way and is actually at the parking lot, so he goes out to the backstage area, to the parking lot, and demands an apology from Roman Reigns.
Yes, and he sees Roman Reigns pulling up in his SUV, and as he's pulling up, a car just crashes into Roman Reigns' SUV, and we all saw Samoa Joe was there, and he was the first man to go out and try to save Roman and try to get him the help that he needs. He called for PMTs, and nobody was listening to him, but he was the first man to help him out, and so he completely forgot about the apology. He was there for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and that lets everybody know that it wasn't Samoa Joe. So who can it be? We do not know yet. Let us know who do you guys think it might be on the comments below as well.
I think I may have an idea, but I don't know.
I threw one out there just super random, just because we haven't seen him on TV for a while. Where is Baron Corbin? Could potentially be Baron Corbin. I mean, he's been at TV for like almost 2 weeks, and now that he hasn't showed up, these attacks have been happening on Roman.
You are right. You are 100% correct, and Baron Corbin could potentially be a possibility. However, that's not how I saw it. I saw somebody like Daniel Bryan potentially being the guy that attacked Roman Reigns, and I will tell you why. Because 2 weeks ago, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, if not it was 3, he said he had a very important announcement to make regarding his career and about who his opponent at SummerSlam was going to be, and we never found out because he refused to talk to any of the interviewers. And ever since then, Roman Reigns started getting attacked. So I feel like it's Daniel Bryan, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out at SummerSlam, and if not, we'll find out tomorrow night on SmackDown.
Yeah, it could be anybody at this point. It's up in the air.
Definitely is. Okay, moving on to the Iconics versus Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Interesting match. The Iconics defending their titles pretty much. On paper, if you really analyze it, the stronger team, let's be real, it's going to be Asuka and Kairi Sane.
Yes.
That's the strongest team. But throughout the match, I was very, very impressed by Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville.
I was too, and I think this team has really solidified their stand in the tag team division since the Elimination Chamber. Ever since that match, my perspective completely changed on them. I was like, damn, you give them the time, you give them the opportunity, they do not fail to deliver. They coexist. They are like siblings. They get each other on so many different levels that's probably hard to understand, and this is what makes Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville super, super dangerous.
And not only that, but they got the first elimination of the night. And who did they eliminate other than the Iconics? So they were able to pin Billie Kay.
So right off the bat, we found out we were going to be getting new tag team champions, and obviously the Iconics were not happy about it. But at this point, really analyzing this, you have 3 teams left. You have Kairi Sane and Asuka, who are obviously the power team. This is the team that, if you really look at it, this is the team that's taking home the gold. But you also have a team like Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Alexa, and Nikki Cross. You can't underestimate any of these women, especially not somebody like Mandy Rose, and especially not somebody like Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, like you said, you have Sonya and Mandy that have that sisterhood, that been a tag team since day one. You have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who are just forming a partnership. They're starting to get to know each other, and you know, Kairi Sane and Asuka, they're friends, and they've been working together, but they really haven't had that chemistry that Sonya and Mandy Rose did.
And the same chemistry that Alexa and Nikki Cross has. But the advantage that Alexa has going into this match is that she's molded Nikki Cross into being who she wants her to be. And not only that, she's smart. We've learned that. She is the ultimate opportunist, looks for the perfect opening and takes complete advantage of that. And that's the biggest advantage that they have going into this match.
A perfect example of this is Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They were trying to avoid being in the match, which is a really smart strategy, because if you're not in the match, you can't get eliminated.
Exactly.
So they wanted this to be an actual tag team match.
And if you're the last team standing, or if you're one of the last 2 teams standing, that already gives you an advantage. If you're fresh going into this match, that gives you an even bigger advantage. And to be exact, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross ended up becoming your new tag team champions. I think this is great because this is going to solidify the division. Not that the Iconics didn't do that, but I think now with somebody like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, the division is going to be even stronger. And I don't know, I know who's going to dethrone them, because obviously you said it on paper. It's going to be Asuka and Kairi Sane. I just do not think they're ready for the pressure that involves the tag team championships.
Nope, and like you said, Alexa Bliss is smart, and she's going to bring a whole new level to the women's tag team division, which is pretty much what they needed right now.
Yes. And Alexa outsmarted Asuka, something I never thought I'd see. She got the pin over Asuka with the help of Nikki Cross. And like I said in the beginning, she molded her to be what she wants her to be. And I feel like Nikki Cross has helped her so much and in so many ways that now she's rewarding her with being the tag team champion.
It's going to be tough for someone to defeat Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. The only way I seen them losing is if they betray each other. But other than that, let's be honest, I really don't see them losing. Maybe if they face Asuka and Kairi Sane, but other than that, they're probably going to be champions for quite some time.
But if they do end up splitting or getting into a disagreement, who turns on who? Because yes, right now, if you really look at it, Alexa's the one that's going to betray Nikki Cross. But now think of it this way. What if Nikki Cross betrays Alexa Bliss because of the things she's been doing, cheating to win, or doing other stuff that Nikki Cross may not potentially like as being the tag team champions? I don't know.
I think right now at this point, Nikki Cross doesn't care how they get the wins, whether it's by cheating or doing whatever it takes. But I think eventually it's going to get to that point where Nikki Cross is going to get tired of Alexa Bliss and her ways. And I think Nikki Cross is the one that's probably going to betray Alexa Bliss. I mean, that would be a shocker if she does, because like you said, we're all expecting Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, exactly, because Alexa, look at her history with all her tag team partners. She's always the one that betrays them, and at this point, I can see Nikki Cross doing that. Okay, let's move on to the main event, which was pretty much Miz TV with special guests Shawn Michaels and Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, they're there together because they're going to discuss the disrespect that Dolph Ziggler has had against Shawn Michaels.
And not only that, it was also a contract signing
for their match at SummerSlam. But one of the interesting things is that Dolph Ziggler just got in, signed the contract, and was like, you know what, I'm ready for this match. I'm going to pretty much destroy you, Miz. But one thing he didn't read was the fine print. The small letters. Always read the fine print and the small letters when you're signing a contract, please. And what he missed was pretty much that his opponent is not The Miz. And at that point, everybody's thinking, oh, he's going to face Shawn Michaels, which to me is a dream match. Because if you really look at it, Dolph Ziggler, HBK in one match, killer. Greatest match.
Definitely, and not only that, but a lot of similarities. The way Dolph Ziggler is in the ring and the way he comes out too. He pretty much has like the same attire. He's like a new Shawn Michaels of this generation, if you want to call it.
Yes, and I think that's a title that Dolph Ziggler has earned throughout his career.
Yeah.
I think the comparison is pretty legit, and I think that's something Dolph Ziggler deserves and gets recognition for. But we also found out Miz told him, well, no, it's not Shawn Michaels. It'll be Goldberg. So, at SummerSlam, Dolph Ziggler versus Goldberg.
Very interesting opponent for Dolph Ziggler. And in this match, I think Goldberg's gonna get the victory.
I also see that. I think there's a lot more for someone like Dolph Ziggler to lose than there is for Goldberg, and they're not going to bring Goldberg back to make him lose to somebody like Dolph Ziggler. And if he does lose to Dolph Ziggler, it's going to be shocking to me because that's not the way I see it happening. But WWE has been shocking us a lot lately.
For you guys tonight on this episode of Monday Night Raw.
Yes, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become a sibling today. Join the family. And also, remember, we do have a Patreon, and that Patreon allows you to get exclusive access to our women's wrestling episodes. So we literally sit down and we talk about women's wrestling, the hottest topic going on in the WWE, or the hottest topics going on. And if you are a patron, you get to decide what our next topic is. I will leave the link to that in the description below. Also, remember, we do have merch out, so if you'd like to check that out, the link will also be in the description below. WrestlingWithSiblings.com. That's all we have for you guys on this episode of Wrestling with Siblings. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That I already said. But for those of you that do not know what WWS stands for, Armando, what does WWS stand for?
Wrestling with Siblings. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time.